says 5 years ago. I'm at Nordstrom's. That lady was in my life for 5 minutes. That impact is permanent. You got certain people that are 1 day, certain people that are a month, certain people that are a year, certain people that are a decade. But if you think like if you have a relationship with the man upstairs and you say, how did this person come into my life? What is the chance of me meeting this person or that? What? I'm the luckiest man alive. So when you look at it from that perspective, and then now when I wake up in the morning at the beginning, you and I were, joking about poison in the drink, and I told you, I said, if God takes me today, man, I've lived the most incredible life. I am so grateful. Everything from here is dessert and bonus, and that's a brief element of the story I haven't told before.
Well, that's why I wanted to have you in for this first show, because your dedication to success and trying to replicate that for other people. I mean, those days when I was doing that, I was broke. I mean broke. I didn't have $50. I was borrowing change to get a cup of coffee at Zabar's on the Upper West Side so I could do a little stand-up at night to pray for the dream. I had a buddy, this is totally true, I had a buddy who worked in food service for restaurants who would drop off industrial-sized cans of tuna that I would survive on for weeks. Most likely I'm going to die of mercury poisoning, But that thing, the struggle to the success. Yep. Tell me, I know your story, but can you give me like the brief struggle to success story?
Yeah, I mean, you talk about tuna. When I was in the Army, I would get the tuna because it was disgusting, but the can was like 49 cents at PX, and you would mix it with mustard because at least mustard would make it tolerable, and throughout the day I would have 3, 4, 5 of these cans to get the protein. No, listen, regular.
Tuna might be the key to the whole operation.
I think that's what it is. With mercury, we're both going to go through. One day news is going to come out. Dave Rubin and Patrick Bay David are dealing with mercury, having too much of it. But no, I mean, look, it all starts with a dream. I was talking to a couple of the guys the other day. Just yesterday, we're doing a Zoom call with a couple of our executives. And one of my guys says, hey, one of my sales guys I'm dealing with, he's very difficult to deal with. He's a pain in the ass, and he's tough to do this, and da-da-da-da-da. He's a 1099 guy, not W-2. W-2, you have the option to fire and coach and send him to places, but 1099, you're working with these guys, right? It's like you're running an insurance office and real estate office. So he says, what do I do with them? I said, well, let me tell you what I do in these types of situations. I said, for a guy like me, I joined the Army at 18, okay? April 15th, 1997. I get shipped to Fort Jackson, South Carolina. My ASVAB score wasn't high, so I only could be infantry or mechanic, so I became a Hummer mechanic. I had 13 Hummers to myself. I had a couple FMTVs and LMTVs. These are the bigger trucks, and I had a Hotel 8 certification, which means I can go tow cars out of the mud, trucks out of the mud, and that's what I did for a living. I thought I was going to do 20 years. Literally, I'm going to be in the Army for 20 years. Then I'm going to get out. I'm going to get an additional 10 points on my a score to be working at the post office or cop or firefighter, because if you're former military, you get that 10 points on the test. So if somebody scores 75, but you're in the Army, you get 85. If you do 82, you do 92, right? So I had that advantage. Then one day I get a call from a friend of mine, Kogan. He says, hey, Pat, what are you doing? I said, tomorrow I'm reenlisting for 6 years. Really? Yeah, I'm reenlisting tomorrow. They got me everything I wanted on my orders. I'm going to go Special Forces, Delta, Sears School. I speak 5 languages, so they're going to help me out to sharpen my language, and then I'm going to go to Vicenza, Italy, which is where I wanted to go to. There was a beautiful unit there. And then from there, I'm going to do this for 20 years, and I'm going to retire at 38 years old, and then I'm going to go be a cop and firefighter. He says, Pat, you got to get out. I said, I'm not getting out. I'm signing my contract tomorrow for 6 years, and I'm getting my Army Accommodation Medal. I had gotten an Army Achievement Medal. Tomorrow was a celebration. Lieutenant Colonel P. Cox was going to give me an Army Accommodation Medal. He says, can I convince you otherwise? I said, you can. My dad already sent me a $250 camera as a gift for committing to reenlist. Huh. He says, just give me an hour. And this guy was the only guy that ever came and visited me in the Army out of my friends for 18 days. And when you're in the Army, you're alone. You remember all the letters. I kept every letter. Every single letter anybody ever wrote me while I was in boot camp, I have all of it till today. All of it. And who was a friend and who was thinking and who's not. All of them. The people you thought that you're best, they never wrote you a letter. The people you thought were they were okay, they wrote you 50, 60 letters. So I'm sitting there, hour later, it's now 1 o'clock in the morning. I got formation early in the morning. I can't sleep all night. I've already promised my dad I'm going to reenlist. He wants me to stay in uniform, be in the military. I get out in the morning, go to Lieutenant Colonel P. Cox. Disappointing news for you. I can't reenlist. I got to get out. but David, what are you doing? We got you the orders. I said, I totally you have no clue how much I respect you, but I'm getting out. So I get out. They don't give me the Army Commendation Medal.
How difficult were those
wasn't
few
easy.
hours?
I mean, I'm thinking about it right now. I'm going back because I threw my boots over the, you celebrate like, hey, this is it. It wasn't easy. Let me tell you, it was a lot of anxiety because when you're in the military, it's so regimented. It's so like routine. And if you like routine, there's a lot of trust and comfort in routine. There's order, there's expectation, there's a time for formation. It's a lot of good things. Your benefits, chow hall, when you eat, how much you get paid, your promotions, correspondence courses you got to take. You'll be an E5, E6, E7. Eventually, you'll be a drill sergeant, maybe first sergeant, then sergeant major, E9, and that's kind of the route you go. And you can take advantage of GI Bill, maybe become an officer, second lieutenant, first lieutenant, work your way up. So there was an immediate, and then you can travel, see the world. It was, 20 years what it's going to look like. It's predictable. And I like the predictable aspect, but I also have an uncertainty aspect. The unknown fires me up. There's an element of unknown that's exciting, that the level of curiosity, I want to know what the possibilities are. So then I get out. I get out of the military. I come out to be a Hummer mechanic, and there was one shop at Camarillo, and it was Thousand Oaks Camarillo that had a Hummer dealership. So I go and I said, listen, I'm the best Hummer mechanic in Fort Campbell, Kentucky. And the guy says, listen, man, we sell maybe 1 or 2 Hummers a month, H1. We have one mechanic if we're lucky. We don't need a second one. And I said, I'm very good at shooting. He says, listen, we don't need a hitman here. You're not going to use it in private. So at that point, I went and took the test to be a cop. I had 16 speeding tickets, so I couldn't be a cop. And then firefighter, there was a hold. And then boom, 5-year freeze and being a firefighter. Then I get out and start making money in the financial sector, Morgan Stanley, Transamerica. Then I started my own insurance company. And the rest is history. The point I was making with this meeting was the level of grace God has on us. When you go back and think about the people you met in your life, some of them they made such a big impact in your life, but they're a 5-minute person in your life. You're at Nordstrom's. Your son is wrestling with you. A woman over here who's 65 years old is looking at me for 10 minutes while me and Dylan are wrestling. I said, ma'am, how you doing? She says, I'm doing good. She said, do you know why I'm looking at you? I said, why are you looking at me? She said, because I remember when my kids were that age. I said, tell me about your kids. I have 3 sons. How they doing? What do they do? One's a doctor, one's an engineer, and one's a lawyer. Really, all successful, all married with kids, Give me 3 secret sauce. What was it? So I only give you 1. I said, what's that? She says, if you ever threaten to discipline your kids, follow through. I was like, out of all the advice you can give, you give me this. If you threaten them, always follow through because your word can't lose weight.
Yeah.
This is 5 years ago. I'm at Nordstrom's. That lady was in my life for 5 minutes. That impact is permanent. You got certain people that are 1 day, certain people that are a month, certain people that are a year, certain people that are a decade. But if you think like if you have a relationship with the man upstairs and you say, how did this person come into my life? What is the chance of me meeting this person or that? What? I'm the luckiest man alive. So when you look at it from that perspective, and then now when I wake up in the morning, at the beginning, you and I were, joking about poison in the drink, and I told you, I said, if God takes me today, man, I've lived the most incredible life. I am so grateful. Everything from here is dessert and bonus, and that's a brief element of the story I haven't told before.
If you're looking for more honest and thoughtful conversations about politics instead of nonstop screaming, check out our politics playlist. And if you want to watch full interviews on a variety of topics, watch our full episode playlist, all right over here. And to get notified of all future videos, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell.